You were originally the only one in the whole sect, a cultivation genius with the hope of stepping into the immortal realm. Yet you burned yourself to death in front of a lonely grave. Your 7 senior sisters rushed into the fire with all their might, just to save the one who pushed you to a dead-end your junior brother. Only then did you suddenly realize that you were merely a villainous male supporting character in a novel. You protected everyone with all your heart, yet you were forced to betray the sect. You fought the protagonist for thousands of years, never imagining you wouldn't die at the hands of that great demon lord, but would instead be gravely injured by the master you cared for most. But when you opened your eyes again, you found that you had been reborn. In this life, you decided to live only for yourself. But why do they regret it this time? Rumor has it that the ruthless Sword Venerable once said he would only ever take the protagonist's junior brother as his disciple. But now he is forced to accept you, the peerless genius who appeared out of nowhere. The master is not happy. So, at the apprenticeship ceremony, he simply tossed you a jade pendant as a gift. And the junior brother, Fang Zheng, is even more unhappy. But he could only pretend to be happy and smile at you. You'll be my junior brother from now on. If anyone dares to bully you in the future, just come find me. Although you were able to defeat me in the competition this time, it was because I was injured during my cultivation. Fang Zheng became more dejected as he spoke, looking fragile yet resilient. But congratulations to you anyway, junior brother. I'm really happy for you. Seeing this, the surrounding disciples suddenly stared at you with ill intent. If junior brother Fang hadn't been injured, how could you have won? An unearned victory. How annoying. You looked at him, dazed at first, and then your eyes flickered. A surge of intense hatred welled up in your heart, against Fang Zheng, and even more against Liu Ryan. You only found out after you died that the world you lived in was a novel, and the protagonists of this novel were Liu Ryan and Fang Zheng. It told the story of a taboo romance between master and disciple, and you were just a villainous male supporting character who burst in halfway through. The original book stated that the reason you tried everything possible to become Liu Ryan's disciple was that you were in love with her. Then, out of extreme jealousy, you framed Fang Zheng, sabotaged Fang Zheng's admirers in every way, and finally died at the hands of your beloved Liu Ryan to make you atone for your sins. After you died, Liu Ryan gouged out your inner core and gave it to her own self who had suffered key deviation, and to Fang Zheng, whose inner core had been shattered by a heavy blow. After Fang Zheng used your inner core, his cultivation progressed by leaps and bounds, breaking through to the spirit venerable realm and staying with Liu Ryan forever. This novel was too absurd. If you hadn't experienced it once yourself, you wouldn't have believed it even if you were beaten to death. Now, looking at the beginning of your path to misfortune, why would you jump into this fire pit again? I'm not doing this anymore. You cast aside the fragments of the jade pendant in your hand. Your palm was dripping with blood. Your body was still covered in injuries from the match with Fang Zheng. But you didn't care at all. They said fellow Doist Fang was injured before the match. Even though I won this fight, it was an unearned victory. Let's forget about this apprenticeship. For a disciple to propose backing out was clearly against the rules and disrespectful to the elder. But what you said was well-founded and filled with righteous indignation. Besides, Liu Ryan didn't want to accept you anyway, so she naturally wouldn't object at this moment. The disciples below the stage looked at you in surprise, and Fang Zheng looked at you in shock. Has he finally figured it out? Is he willing to choose another elder instead of being shameless and pestering the ruthless Sword Venerable without letting go? The elders were all looking at you excitedly, rubbing their hands together and itching to act. This was such a promising talent. They had wanted to take you in originally, but unfortunately you insisted on choosing Liu Ryan. Now a good opportunity has come. Only the sect leader looked pensive. You just called Zhao Zheng fellow Taoist, not senior brother. Are you refusing to take Liu Ryan as your master and planning to join another sect instead? This won't do. Such a good talent. Even if we don't want him ourselves, we can't let him benefit others. Even though this wronged Zhao Zheng, if you went to another sect at the Yansheng Grand Competition in 5 years, you would surely be the elite of the ancient Qingshao sect. After all, among the new generation of disciples, in terms of talent alone, the only one who could compete with you was Fang Zheng. Xingchuan, stop messing around. The one speaking was the sect leader. This woman who had never given you a kind look in your previous life, and was always high and mighty, had now dropped her former coldness, with that sighing and brow-lowering look. It was as if she were looking at a willful and unreasonable junior. Apprenticeship is such a major event. How can you say you won't do it just like that? Her tone was serious, but her expression was very gentle. Since my junior sister said she would take you as a disciple, then she definitely will. What? Fang Zheng looked at the sect leader in disbelief. Was this still the sect leader who doted on him and loved him? She clearly knew that when his master took him in, she had said he would be her only disciple. Now that Xingchuan had given up himself, why was she still making his master take him? Seeing Fang Zheng's gaze, the sect leader couldn't help but feel a bit guilty, but she had no choice. She was doing this for Fang Zheng's own good. Someone like you, who had practiced hard since childhood, had a foundation that was far stronger than Fang Zheng's, who had started halfway. If you really face each other in the Yansheng Grand competition, the outcome would be uncertain. But Fang Zheng obviously didn't understand her intentions. His hands, hidden under his sleeves, were tightly clenched into fists. In your previous life, every single one of them treated you coldly, as if your joining the ancient Qingxiao sect was an insult to them. Now that you wanted to leave, they refused to let you go. They really are total hypocrites, wanting to appear noble while seeking benefits. However, a disciple below the stage who was close to Fang Zheng showed an expression of sudden realization. Is he playing hard to get? Saying he wants to leave, but actually wanting to threaten the Sword Venerable into taking the initiative to accept him? What a schemer! Otherwise, is there any other explanation? As soon as these words came out, Liu Ryan, who had just started to change her view of you, immediately furrowed her brows. If she was just uncomfortable before, with a slight sense of disgust, now it was all too obvious. The look she gave you was full of coldness. Although she didn't say anything for the sake of her poise, her expression was far too easy to guess. Don't think you can get my attention this way. I've seen plenty of people like you. Then he's miscalculated. The Sword Venerable hates this kind of person the most. She likes junior brother Fang Zheng, the kind of person who is pure and kind. You look coldly at the people jeering below the stage, fingering the ruby bracelet on your wrist, and said nothing. Sect leader? Someone like that can't stay in our Azure Sky ancient sect. Fang Zheng has admirers chasing after him. Seeing Fang Zheng heartbroken and in tears, they immediately stepped out to help. Our Azure Sky ancient sect is full of talented people. Would we really be threatened by him? That's right, Sect Master, we can't keep him. You fought your way to the finals on the day of the competition just to become Liu Ryan's disciple. You battled your way to the finals that day and beat up a lot of disciples. You made them lose all dignity. Now they get a chance to openly humiliate you. Geniuses of this caliber, opportunities like this don't come all the time. So no matter what they're really thinking, they're looking to make things difficult for you, just to see you bring trouble on yourself and look full of regret. The disciples all chimed in. The sect master's face turned dark on the spot. These fools. Can't they see you're really planning to leave? You're risking it, so Liu Ryan will personally ask you to stay.
Taking this risk?
He must be crazy, already almost a personal disciple. Why take such a foolish action now? The sect master is nearly certain. If he softens up, you'll quickly pack your things and leave. But clearly these folks haven't realized how serious this is. They think even if they say all this, after being rejected, you'll shamelessly stick around anyway, and that no real consequences will come from it. So they don't hold back at all. Now look what happened. If you stay, it's a sign of being threatened, losing face. To preserve face, they have to give up a genius like Fang Zheng, whose reputation is worth this much anyway. Now, if it were any other sect, they probably wouldn't care about face this much. But they can't do that. They're the #1 sect in the world. If word gets out, the impact would be huge. Looking at the sect master stuck in a dilemma. For the first time, you feel these fools are a little useful. When it comes to Azure Sky Ancient Sect, nothing matters more to them than reputation. If anything hurts their reputation, even Fang Zhang, their favored one. Once his relationship with Liu Ryan was found out, he was immediately expelled, if not for 3 admirers, who risked their lives to save him. Fang Zhang probably would have died in that expulsion. The choice now is obvious, so when the sect master decides to soften and gently reminds you, Azure Sky Ancient Sect has many outstanding elders. If you don't choose Liu Ryan, you can totally pick someone else. That admirer who started the commotion immediately started gloating. Someone tried to play tricks and ended up losing everything. You suddenly turned around, waved your sleeve. The ruby bracelet on your wrist flashed with light, instantly transforming into a stunning full-length bow. You raised your hand and gently pulled. A crimson bowstring appeared. An arrow materialized on the string out of thin air. It's the sacred flame crimson bow. Fang Zhang was stunned. Senior sister, get out of the way! Last time Fang Zhang fought with you, he suffered a huge loss. And he's not sure if it's just his imagination. You used to handle the sacred flame crimson bow carefully, afraid it might backlash. You didn't bring it out lightly. But this time, whether you're summoning it or drawing the bow, every movement is smooth and fluid, as if you'd used it a million times. Your skill is clearly beyond ready. You let go with your fingers. With a swish, the arrow cuts through the air, making a sharp, piercing sound. It shoots straight towards the loud-mouthed woman. She probably never expected that you'd actually dare attack her in front of everyone. She couldn't dodge in time, and got hit in the right shoulder by the arrow. Blood spilled freely. How insolent. Insolent! 2 shouts of insolent rang out almost at the same time. The sect master was about to step in, to teach a lesson to someone who dared hurt his disciple in public. But he never expected you wouldn't be scared or guilty. Instead, you were even angrier than he was. You shouted and the sect master was stunned. You said angrily, Sword Sovereign is so unattainable. He can't be tarnished. He's the goal I've pursued all my life. My dream is to become someone as powerful as the Sword Sovereign. And you guys only try to ruin my name because you lost to me and can't win it back. So you resort to filthy imaginings to smear my reputation, just to get revenge on me. You place your hand over your heart, speaking with deep emotion, indignant and filled with righteous anger. You can talk about me all you want, but you absolutely cannot insult Sword Sovereign. As soon as you finished, Fang Zhang was stunned. Liu Ryan was stunned. Almost everyone looked at you in confusion. You seemed to treat Sword Sovereign like a faith, like a true idol. Apparently, it's not what they thought. No dirty thoughts about the Sword Sovereign. Fang Zhang immediately breathed a sigh of relief. He quickly stepped out and said, Senior sister, winning and losing are expected on the stage. How can you bully people like this? Bai Chiku was dumbfounded, not only because in just a few words, she ended up accused of insulting Sword Sovereign, but also because Fang Zhang spoke up for you. She was only doing it to help Fang Zhang. You sighed sadly. Forget it, I was wrong too. I just really can't stand it. When someone humiliates the person I respect the most, the one I admire above all, I acted out of impulse and hurt someone. That was my fault. Bai Chiku felt a strange, but completely different sensation. You weren't wrong. Fang Zhang actually agreed with your actions. Even though your rainbow sword was overpowering and probably damaged Bai Chiku's meridians, that arm of hers is most likely ruined. But Bai Chiku only lost an arm. His beloved master was insulted by Bai Chiku. And then again, nothing was said. The sect master didn't even have time to blame you. And the matter was already over. In the end, all those disciples who instigated Bai Chiku were punished with 3 months of temporary duties. Then everyone looked at you. Maybe they finally believe. You don't have feelings for Liu Ryan. Their attitude suddenly improved a lot. Even Liu Ryan spoke more gently. But before anyone could speak, you cupped your fists respectfully. I've made up my mind. This competition really wasn't convincing. Once Fang Zhang recovers, we can compete again. If I'm lucky enough to win then, I can choose my master just like this time. Good kid. Naturally, the sect master agreed. He kindly said, even if you lose, it's okay. I'll accept you as my personal disciple. That way, no matter win or lose, you can stay in the Azure Sky Ancient Sect. But what he didn't know is, you said after you won, you'd choose your master just like this time. But you never said the master would be Liu Ruyan. And you definitely didn't say it would be someone from Qingxiao ancient sect. Fang Zhang bit his lip. It's not very clear. From that sword strike earlier, he could tell. You seemed much stronger than when you fought him. A lot stronger. Everyone thought he lost because he was injured. But Fang Zhang knew deep down, even without the injury, he still wouldn't be your match. He gave it his all last time and still lost. It'll only be harder next time. But you put away your longbow. Since that's the case, I'll take my leave now. You aren't a member of Qingxiao ancient sect. The moment you appeared, you arrogantly declared you would defeat Liu Ruyan. And despite everyone's mockery and contempt, you won in the end. These people weren't just targeting you because they thought you were vying with Fang Zhang and Liu Ruyan. It was more that, as the elites of their top sect, they lost to someone from an outside sect. Isn't that just like being challenged in their own house? And having the challenger actually win, how humiliating is that? So it's reasonable for you to want to leave. But the sect leaders obviously aren't willing. Since you haven't officially become a disciple, other sects will definitely try to seize the opportunity. If you just leave like this, who knows which sect you'll return with? Especially after seeing the next scene. Their wariness reached a peak. They saw you raise your hand and summon a spirit bird. This spirit bird was about 7 feet long, with gorgeous vivid feathers, like a blazing fire. Its entire body was aglow with a brilliant crimson sheen, becoming even more dazzling under the sunlight. It spread its wings and let out a crisp cry that rang across the sky. It was actually a Tier 4 spirit beast, a scarlet sparrow. The scarlet sparrow is a rare type of spirit beast. Not only is it extremely fast, but its attack power is ferocious. There are legends of some scarlet sparrows possessing a kind of half-life flame coveted by all alchemists. This scarlet sparrow was a notch stronger than Fang Zhang's three-tailed spirit fox. During the competition, Fang Zhang knew that releasing his spirit beast would make him look bad even if he won, so he kept it hidden. He was injured. If he won, he'd get praised. If he lost, he'd have a good excuse. Everyone would side with him. He had no reason to do anything risky and thankless. After all, before this, he thought even if he lost, Liu Ruyan wouldn't accept you as a disciple. It was that trust that made him slip up. He regretted it bitterly. He should have unleashed his spirit beast for the grand display. People from the ancient sect looked down on you for that reason too. Look at our junior brother Fang Zhang. So honorable, he didn't use his spirit beast to bully you. If he had used his spirit beast, you would definitely have lost. But who would have thought you had a spirit beast too? Most likely, you assumed Fang Zhang didn't have one. So for fairness, you didn't use yours either. Now those disciples who were still unconvinced only felt their faces stinging with embarrassment the moment the scarlet sparrow appeared. Even the elders of Qingxiao ancient sect were shocked enough to stand up. They didn't expect you to be so young, not only with remarkable cultivation, but also possessing a Tier 4 spirit beast. The scarlet sparrow immediately looked at Liu Ruyan with eyes full of jealousy.
Damn.
Why does every promising talent want to pick this cold and icy guy? Instead, it soared into the air, overlooking Fang Zhang, who gazed up at you. The corner of your mouth curled ever so slightly. I'm going on a training journey. Fang Zhang, my friend. I'm looking forward to our next match. Fang Zhang managed to force out a smile. You too. The scarlet sparrow carried you, soaring through the sky. Just as you were about to leave Qingxiao ancient sect's territory, you slowly looked back from your lofty position. The grand sect below now seemed insignificant, tiny as dust. This place you once yearned and dreamed for, now with a playful touch, has penned your tragic and ridiculous story. It was Qingxiao ancient sect that said the final winner could pick their master. And now it's Qingxiao ancient sect who won't let you become a disciple. You put in so much effort to win in the end. Of course you wanted to pick the strongest. Why should you settle for less just because Fang Zhang wasn't happy? Becoming a disciple isn't marriage. Plenty have hundreds of disciples. How does it feel like you're some home wrecker, a mistress? You know full well once you join Qingxiao ancient sect, in the Yanshan Grand Tournament in 5 years, you won't even get to go on stage. You need to get stronger, fast. If you don't want to become one of those 2 crazy people who'll dig out your core, or be the foil that highlights Fang Zhang's greatness, the goodness and strength of Fang Zhang just a stepping stone in their love story. You have to fight for your life. But now, Liu Ruian isn't the hardest to deal with. That guy is still wavering between Baiyu Guang and Fang Zheng. Undecided. No relationship confirmed yet. You should really be worrying about Fang Zheng's admirers now. Deep down, what kind of enemies you'll face in the future. A wicked and wild witch. The enigmatic lord of the celestial pavilion. The love-struck Princess Li Guo. All are top-tier figures in the spirit world. In your previous life, they utterly destroyed you. You quickly head to a desolate mountain. Right now, you're just at the 9th stage of spirit cultivation. If you want to quickly reach spirit master level, you must get the 3-leaf silverweed and scarlet sparrow inside. Even when you encounter higher-level demon beasts along the way, you avoid them from a distance. You fly smoothly all the way to the spot from your memory, where the 3-leaf silverweed is. Unlike your previous life, it was Fang Zheng who discovered the 3-leaf silverweed then. By the time they found Fang Zheng, there was only a pit here, nothing unusual. But now there was actually a spirit spring here, and 3 stalks of 3-leaf silverweed, though they haven't bloomed yet. You take a deep breath. Even though you already know how fake Fang Zheng is, you still can't help but feel he deserved it. You were poor last life, because you were too honest. Last life you obsessed over swordsmanship. A gentleman's sword is all about heroism and justice, slaying demons and evil. You followed a path of uprightness and good conscience, yet you were the only honest one. And the poorest? When you were being hunted, you didn't even have money for a cheap potion. One setback after another made you question the path. Your cultivation slowed to a crawl. The looming crisis, collapsed beliefs, and a hopeless future eventually made you put down your sword and decide to pick up the Holy Flame Scarlet Bow. When you first made that decision, you hesitated for a long time. Now you just want to say, forget that damn sword path. Now you're dressed luxuriously, with a jade pendant at your waist, and a bow in your hand. Every part is carved with exquisite and ornate patterns, and gold lining. But when you used a sword, you wore plain clothes, ate simple meals, and couldn't even afford basic healing pills when you got hurt. Just how desperate was I back then? To end up choosing swordsmanship? You didn't let those emotions hold you back for long. You quickly adjusted your mindset. You sat by the spirit spring, absorbing spiritual energy. You've taken an extreme path. Your absorption speed is at least 3 times faster than others. But meridians are meant to absorb spiritual energy gradually. At this pace, your meridians can easily get damaged. It's not worth the risk. Soon, your meridians start to buckle under the pressure. They begin to fracture. But you don't stop. You quickly tap a few major acupoints on yourself. Skillfully form hand seals. Your meridians begin to heal. But soon they rupture again from the surge of spiritual energy. This repeats over and over. This technique is painful. But your originally fragile meridians will become tougher with every trial by fire. Your body trembles slightly. Your face contorted from intense pain, and sweat beads densely on your forehead. You grit your teeth and keep pushing through. After thousands of cycles, the pain finally starts to fade. Your meridians stop fracturing. There's only a faint ache left, but it's basically negligible. Sunrise and sunset pass. No idea how long it's been. The aura around you suddenly changes. All the spiritual energy gathers in your danshin, forming a vortex, and starts spinning wildly, normally to break through to spirit master level. Most people use spiritual elixirs to assist. It's much safer that way, and more reliable, like the 3-leaf silver rose. But even though the 3-leaf silver rose is great, it's still an external aid. The more you rely on such things early on, the harder it gets to break through later. Previously, you didn't have access to these things, but now with the spirit spring, of course you went with this method without hesitation. After tempering your meridians, your breakthrough wasn't nearly as difficult as it is for others. You easily broke through the first stage of Spirit Master, but the spiritual energy didn't stop surging. After circulating once through your meridians, it started rushing toward the 2nd level. Next came the 3rd level. Blood trickled from the corner of your mouth. You kept breaking through, while absorbing even more spiritual energy, taking advantage of the time before your meridians closed off after the breakthrough, to keep pouring in spiritual energy. trying to reach an even higher level. So even after breaking through to Spirit Master, your spiritual energy continued to flow madly. Your healed meridians ruptured once more. Your body couldn't withstand it anymore, and started to split with deep bone-revealing wounds. Your white robe was stained red with blood. During a breakthrough, if your meridians are strong enough and can handle massive amounts of spiritual energy, you can power through and climb higher levels in one go, successively rising. You stumbled on this in your previous life by accident. Unfortunately, you were already a spirit king by then. Every new level brought down heavenly tribulation lightning. If you rose multiple levels at once, you risked getting struck to death by lightning. You could only give up reluctantly. Never thought this knowledge would come in handy one day. You gauged your body's limits. It should be up to the 5th level. But as your spiritual energy rampaged to the peak of level 3 and was about to push into level 4, the sky suddenly grew dark. Thick clouds gathered. Thunder boomed and lightning flashed. No way. I only broke through one major stage and just leveled up 3 minor ones. Heavenly tribulation is for spirit kings, isn't it? I'm just an ordinary young spirit master. I'm really not worthy. But as it turns out, whether you're worthy or not isn't up to you. Gazing at the restless thunder above, Misha quickly suppressed the spiritual energy in her body, ending her absorption. Finally, she barely managed to stop at the peak of the 3rd level. As for heavenly tribulation, I am completely unprepared. What kind of spirit practitioner worries about tribulation when they're just at the spirit master stage? What if the tribulation stacks like it does for spirit kings? You had Chi-Q guard the 3-leaf silver rose and the spirit spring here, while you ran far away to face the lightning tribulation, to avoid damaging either one of them. A month later, a dozen disciples from Azure Sky's ancient sect cautiously made their way through the forest. Leading them was a young woman. She had striking, heroic looks. She was the eldest senior sister of Azure Sky's ancient sect, and the head disciple under the sect leader, Shanshan Xiai, who, despite her youth, was already at the 1st stage of Spirit Master. This time she was leading the team, both to train the new disciples and to help Feng Zheng find his chance to reach the Spirit Master level. But after all their efforts, when they finally arrived, someone was already sitting by the clear spring water, and it was someone familiar. You finished your refinement. But the spiritual energy in the spring had been blasted repeatedly by lightning, and a month's worth of treasures had been destroyed. Looking at the sky in frustration, you had to face the hard truth. Even if you hadn't taken the sword path, you're still broke. After just 1 month's absence, you seemed completely transformed, and the aura you exuded was nothing like before. Nothing like the savagery and bloodlust of an evil cultivator. Your eyes looked like pure, brilliant red crystal. It seemed something unpleasant had happened. Your face was frosty, cold to the bone. As soon as they saw your face, everyone involuntarily gasped. No one dared make a sound. Then one sharp-eyed male disciple pointed ahead in delight. On the grass not far away, there grew 3 budding plants. The 3-leaf silver rose. That's great, Zhao Zheng. Now you can reach the breakthrough. They looked as excited as if they were the ones breaking through. If it was some other spirit practitioner who'd arrived first, they might be a bit uneasy. But since it was you, they weren't concerned at all. You've always wanted to join Azure Sky's ancient sect, so you definitely wouldn't offend them. They figured since you knew what they needed, you would surely offer it without them even asking. So, no one bothered asking if you were willing to give it up, and they excitedly started discussing where to celebrate after Feng Zheng's breakthrough. Then they watched, dumbfounded, as last month you clearly showed eagerness to join Azure Sky's ancient sect, and deep admiration for their merciless sword sovereign. Now, seeing them again, that polite gentleness was completely gone. Get lost. After all, that time being struck by lightning, you were in a terrible mood now. You swung your arm down hard. In the ink-black earth, a streak of red light suddenly sliced through everyone's vision. With a deafening boom, the ground trembled, and sand and rocks flew everywhere. A ravine, several yards deep, opened up before them. Everyone stared at the split earth in shock, unable to say a word. Such a casual blow had this much power. Even Shanshan Xiai, who'd stayed out of it and left them to sort it out themselves, now looked deadly serious. Only then did he raise his eyes and take a serious look. When you faced off against Fang Zhang, he was also there. Didn't expect to meet you again. And now he can't even tell your cultivation level at all. Fang Zhang is even more shocked. With his 7th level Lingshu cultivation, he could barely match you at the 9th level. He has already improved rapidly. In just a month's time. How could your training speed be so much faster? Next time you compete, he'll lose even more. But he doesn't want Master to have any other disciples. Fang Zhang bit his lip, suppressing his inner frustration. Brother Sheng, you're mistaken. My senior brother has no ill intentions. He's just straightforward. You sneer. No matter how straightforward he is, he can't just blurt things out. Isn't that disgusting? Who are you talking about? Wu Yong rolled up his sleeves, looking like he was ready to fight you. He was pulled back by several disciples behind him. Forget it. Brother Wu Yong, you should be magnanimous. Don't bother stooping to his level. Did I say something wrong? You let out a sneer. You guys really picked your timing. I've been guarding these 3 silver sage plants for a month, and you didn't even ask. Not a single word before demanding how to divide them. Isn't that shameless? Wu Yong was furious. The smile on Fang Zhang's face couldn't hold up either. He originally hoped you'd let things slide for his sake, and make a big issue small. Just apologize to Wu Yong, and move on. Didn't expect you to not appreciate it at all. Fang Zhang turned serious and said, Shixiu, you're going too far. Brother Wu Yong is just straightforward, speaks impulsively, that's all, and has no ill intent. We'll all be fellow disciples in the future, so why be so aggressive? Hurry up and apologize to Brother Wu Yong. That's a big face. Fang Zhang, fellow cultivator, I haven't formally become a disciple yet. Why are you acting like a senior brother to me, Shen Qiang? Wu Yong was enraged.
He shielded Fang Zhang behind him,
Ignoring Fang Zhang gently tugging at his sleeve, whispering to stop and let it go. It's fine if you argue with me, but why drag Xiao Zhang into it? You tilted your head, looking puzzled. Wasn't he the one who came out seeking trouble? Wu Yong was so angry he almost fainted. Don't think that just because Xiao Zhang has a good temper, you can trample over him. That's because he's generous and doesn't bother with you. Don't push your luck, getting worse and worse. But seeing your nonchalant reaction, Wu Yong's voice was even sharper. What's with your attitude? He's your senior brother, but you shook your head. I don't have such weak senior brothers. If they didn't know about your scarlet blood before, maybe they boldly claim that Fang Zhang was injured and didn't use spirit beasts to bully you. But now that they know, they can't argue anymore. So Wu Yong pointed at you with trembling fingers. For quite a while, unable to say anything to refute, you impatiently said, You're annoying me. If you don't leave, don't blame me for being rude. Wu Yong was about to curse again, but saw you, rubbing the ruby bracelet on your wrist, looking at him with total indifference. And suddenly he stepped back like he'd been grabbed by the neck. Last time you did this and crippled Bai Chiku, your senior sister's arm. Although the sect master put in a lot of effort later to heal her up, so she moves normally now, there's still some hidden trouble left. Even though nothing's said openly, when the sect master was treating Bai Chiku, Wu Yong was accompanying Fang Zhang, so he was present, and watched the sect master's face grow more and more solemn, and finally gloomy. They were then told to step back, while the sect master spoke privately with Bai Chiku. When the sect master left and they went in, they saw Bai Chiku pounding the bed with red eyes, cursing you loudly, saying she'd tear you apart. After asking, they found out that you'd been harsher than they'd imagined. Even with the sect master's treatment, Bai Chiku's hand would shake after holding a sword for too long. For a sword cultivator, that's deadly. So seeing you make that move, Wu Yong inevitably got scared. Out of the corner of his eye, he saw Shangshin Xiai standing calmly at the side. Shangshin Xiai is a first-level Ling Shi expert. Wu Yong suddenly felt emboldened, and his momentum came back. Xiao Zhang just spoke up for you, and you keep targeting him. I just can't stand you. What's wrong with you? You look up, speaking slowly and lazily. Where did I say something wrong? A 9th level Ling Shu needs a 4th level Ling Shu standing in front to protect him. If word gets out, people will die laughing. Fang Zhang's face stiffened. Wu Yong was stunned too. That's normal for them. So much that Wu Yong instinctively blocked Feng Zhang. But now hearing you say it, Wu Yong suddenly realized, maybe it really wasn't right. Even the disciples who were angry behind them, and ready to rebuke you for Feng Zhang, fell into a strange silence. You propped your chin with your hand, and said with interest, he was holding you back, not letting you argue with me. But this 9th level guy can't even hold back a 4th level one. Isn't that hilarious? Seeing everyone around, looking at him doubtfully, Feng Zhang's body trembled helplessly, and the disciples behind him felt pity again. Wu Yong didn't hesitate, and rushed to comfort Feng Zhang, then turned back and said fiercely to you, "Don't try to stir up trouble between Zhao Zhang and me. I won't believe you. You're amazed at their logic. I'm just stating what I observed, not solving a crime. Who cares if you believe it or not?" Wu Yong was furious, but he couldn't outcurse you. Wanted to argue but couldn't find a point. Now things are getting worse for Feng Zhang. If things don't change, it could affect Feng Zhang's reputation in the future. If things go as in your past life, Feng Zhang would be bullied now. And next the Guardian would humiliate the villain. You're very familiar with the process. You count down from 3 in your heart. And, as it hits 1, Shang Xinxiai steps out to shield Feng Zhang, watching you coldly, then says in a cold voice, "Xingchuan, if you still want to join Qingjiao ancient sect, you'd better stop here. Don't keep pressing. So you know who's in the right now? Why didn't you step out before?" You scoff. Shang Xinxiai is practically a legendary figure among the early disciples. His main role is to fuss over Feng Zhang, so that the male disciples around envy and hate Feng Zhang, and then scheme against you. The highlight in the novel is when you and Feng Zhang have a conflict, and with his Lingxi 7th level cultivation, he knocks you, just breaking through to Lingxi 1st level, flying with 1 sword strike. Then as you glare at him, unable to beat him, he picks up the weak Feng Zhang and leaves. But you're the villain, so you'll definitely do something reckless later. Like after you break through to Lingwing, seeking revenge for that sword, and in the competition badly beating Shang Xinxiai. Then Feng Zhang with teary eyes scolds you for going too far. You're supposed to stop when sparring, but you're actually so ruthless. The witch who's secretly watching Feng Zhang sees you daring to mess with Feng Zhang and secretly sabotages you in the next round, making you lose to a disciple way weaker than you. And all the disciples explode, saying you could beat Shang Xinxiai. So you must have used dark arts? Otherwise, why did you do so badly here? It must be backlash from dark arts. Even though nothing was found later, the disciples secretly disliked you, always gossiping about you. Back then, you really thought it was just impatience in your cultivation, causing your sudden defeat because your spiritual power collapsed. The cause wasn't found later either. Liu Ryan and the sect leader will care about you even less. They just told you to look out for yourself. You can only accept your bad luck. If I hadn't read the novel, I wouldn't have known that those powerful figures could be so shameless. Now, seeing that Shang Xinxiai can't outtalk you, and being the type who acts ruthlessly with few words, she drew her sword to teach you a lesson. But then, before Shang Xinxiai could even draw her sword, the red sparrow pounced on her from behind. Massive bird claws pressed down on Shang Xinxiai, even shattering the rock beneath her, just as she gathered her spiritual power. Intending to break free by force, you stepped right onto her chest. Immediately after, a thick surge of spiritual energy pressed down. Shang Xinxiai was pinned completely underneath, unable to move an inch. One could even hear the sound of her ribs cracking. Jiang Xinqi gasped in agonizing pain. Senior sister, senior sister." The disciples of the Qingxiao ancient sect shouted anxiously. Wu Yong roared in anger. "You're too despicable. If you're so tough, let senior sister release her spiritual beast too." Feng Zhang said anxiously, "Junior brother, this is just a spar. Why are you being so ruthless?" Back then, Feng Zhang had used the exact same method to defeat a spiritual beast. How did these people react at that time? They praised Feng Zhang for being clever and bright and resourceful. Now that it's your turn, it's called using unscrupulous means and being cold-hearted. They are just that hypocritical. Naturally, you ignored them. You raised your hand and smashed a fist hard into Shang Xinxiai's face. Don't you love slapping faces? I'll give you a face slapping. Take this face slapping. Shang Shenxiai saw stars from the beating. Her ears were ringing loudly. She couldn't hear a word you said at all. Hearing footsteps behind you, you rained down a storm of punches, while glancing sideways. Didn't you see this trench I carved out? Whoever dares to cross the line does so at their own peril. As soon as those words were spoken, the disciples who were about to step forward to help stopped in their tracks instantly. Even though they all hated you, they were well aware that they were no match for you. The only one here who could fight you on equal terms was Fang Zheng, the disciple of the heartless sword sovereign. Fang Zheng gritted his teeth. He couldn't face you right now.
He wasn't ready yet.
If he lost, the public opinion that favored him would instantly flip, and he would become a laughingstock. Senior Sister Shan was only ambushed because of him. Seeing her beaten like this, Fang Zheng felt his heart ache. Fang Zheng said, "Junior brother, sparring is about making friends. It should be done fairly and squarely. How can you be so dishonorable?" The people of the Qingshao ancient sect expressed that they had never seen such a fighting style. It was one thing to use a demon beast for an ambush, but to have one pin the opponent down while the other beats them, it was extremely damaging and highly humiliating, simply shameless. You asked him back. A first-level spirit master coming to find me, a ninth-level spirit cultivator for a spar. You call that fair and square? How can you guys be even more shameless than me? A glance at the Qingshao ancient sect members, unsure if it was because Shang Shenxiai was bullying the weak, or because you admitted your own shamelessness so readily. You had already beaten Shang Shenxiai until her mouth was bleeding, even knocking out a few of her teeth. Fang Zheng gritted his teeth and released his three-tailed spirit fox. Right now your red sparrow was suppressing Shang Shenxiai. As long as he and the three-tailed spirit fox attacked together, you would surely be defeated. Unless you called the red sparrow back to help. And once Shang Shenxiai was free from the red sparrow's suppression, she could join him to deal with you. You glanced up at the three-tailed spirit fox and asked casually, "So you want to use numbers to bully me?" Fang Zheng bit his lip. "It's because you've gone too far." "Zhao Zheng, don't reason with him. He's not worth it." At the same time, Wu Yong spat fiercely toward you. "If you get beaten, it's because you're weak. Overestimating yourself serves you right. If you've got the guts, get a fellow disciple at the Spirit Master realm to help you too." "Oh, I forgot." Wu Yong covered his mouth with his hand and said provocatively, "You don't have one. Not only that, you can forget about ever becoming a disciple of the heartless sword sovereign. Indeed, by insulting the sect leader's head disciple, you were finished with the Shenshao ancient sect." That was probably the most joyful thing today. He was still Master's only disciple. Thinking of this, the corners of Fang Zheng's mouth curled up slightly. But looking at Shang Shenxiai, who was beaten so badly her own mother wouldn't recognize her, he felt it wasn't the right time to be happy. So he suppressed his smile. "I didn't want to fight you, but since you're being so aggressive, I'll teach you a lesson on behalf of Master." Fang Zheng whispered, then charged forward with the three-tailed spirit fox. But the moment they crossed that trench, the three-tailed spirit fox's battle-hungry eyes met your casually raised gaze with a glimpse of your red eyes. The three-tailed spirit fox's pupils contracted instantly. A beast's perception of danger is naturally far superior to a human's. It instinctively sensed a crisis and hurriedly halted its charge. It turned and bit Fang Zheng's clothes with its mouth, trying to pull him away. However, it was too late. A massive suction force came from ahead. The last thing Fang Zheng saw was you lightly raising your palm. And then his vision was engulfed in red light. Intense pain struck. Fang Zheng let out a miserable scream and was thrown back violently, tumbling a long way across the ground before stopping. A jade pendant on his person shattered, but no one noticed at that moment. You clicked your tongue. A scapegoat charm? Is Liu Ryan really spending this much on him? Because you weren't sure if Liu Ryan
Had left him any other life-saving magical treasures.
You didn't continue the attack, fearing you might trigger something offensive. The crowd could hardly believe their eyes. Fang Zheng was actually defeated by a single light palm from you. Shang Shenxiai's originally groggy head instantly cleared up. She looked at you in disbelief. This aura, it's totally unaware that he had just taken a trip to the gates of hell. Fang Zhang let out a gagging sound and spat out a mouthful of blood.
His once
Radiant face was now in a pathetic state. Fang Zhang propped himself up with both hands and barely managed to lift his torso. His lips trembled as he looked at you. Fang Zhang said in disbelief, "You actually broke through to the Spirit Master realm. How long has it even been?" Clearly, not long ago they were evenly matched. This was the first time Fang Zhang had ever seen someone with a faster cultivation speed than his own. Wu Yong's eyes nearly popped out of his head. They didn't want to believe it, but seeing Shang Xinxi's reaction, they had no choice but to believe it. Wu Yong finally realized it. "You've been playing with them the whole time. You're clearly a spirit master, but you deliberately kept it secret, making senior sister Shang underestimate you. And then you ambushed Fang Zhang. Your methods are simply too foul. Xin Xuan, you're a spiritual master bullying Zhao Zhang, who's just a spiritual cultivator. Aren't you ashamed? You act like you don't care." Shang Xinqi thinks I'm at the 9th level of spiritual cultivation. But he didn't hesitate at all when fighting. Wang said, "But we thought. You're at the 9th level, after all. Zhao Zhang is only at the 7th level. Does it make a difference? Now that you've avenged your humiliation, you're grinning from ear to ear. But the words you say aren't so pleasant. Anyone below the spiritual corpse level is just an ant. There's no real difference between 9th level and 7th level. Besides, you guys got beaten because you're weak. If you're so good, break through to the spiritual master level and come fight me yourself." You shoot back with sarcastic words. "Even if I don't have fellow disciples at the spiritual master level, I am a spiritual master myself." Wang's face twitched. All he felt was a stinging pain on his face. Just at that moment, a faint and elegant fragrance began to spread. The 3-leaf silver rose actually bloomed.
its petals were as soft as silk.
Layer after layer bloomed openly. Under the moonlight, they emitted a subtle silvery glow. When a gentle breeze blew by, those petals danced with the wind, creating a breathtaking sight. While they watched you, you strolled nonchalantly to the 3-leafed silver rose. You gently picked it, one flower then two. As you were about to reach for the 3rd one, Fang Zhang couldn't help but call out, "Wait!" You turned around and Fang Zhang shuddered instantly. He stood up. "I really need that 3-leaf silver rose. I'll buy it from you, okay?" "Sure." 100,000 high-grade spirit stones. Fang Zhang's eyes went wide. "What did you just say?" 100,000 spirit stones. And high-grade no less. Why doesn't he just go rob someone instead? You picked the 3-leafed silver rose and left. "I can't kill Fang Zhang yet. If I kill him, Liu Ryan will definitely hunt me down. I still can't beat her yet. I need to cultivate. I need to get strong. I want to get strong. But first, money." You raised your hand and called over the red sparrow. The red sparrow just let go of its claws. A look of crazed hatred sparked in Shang Xinxi's eyes. A spirit sword appeared in his hand instantly. He stabbed straight at your heart. Shang Xinqi was truly furious. He'd never suffered such humiliation before. You really don't know your place. How dare you use such a lowly trick to ruin his reputation, especially right in front of Fang Zhang. With his sharp sword light coming at you, you let out a cold laugh. A sarcastic glint flashed in your eyes. You gently twisted your fingers. And just like that, you pinched his sword between them. Shang Xinqi used all his strength, but couldn't press forward even an inch. Instead, that incredibly sturdy spirit sword slowly began to crack along the blade. Shang Xinqi watched in horror as the crack spread quickly down to the entire hilt, until finally, with a bang, the sword exploded into bits, turning into mere dust. The impact sent Shang Xinqi flying backward. His cheek was sliced by flying shrapnel. Fresh blood started flowing instantly.
He crashed to the ground, looking miserable and disheveled.
You were still holding the pose of grabbing his sword. You glanced down offhandedly at a small piece of the broken fragment in your hand and tossed it aside casually. Pathetic. Leaving those words behind, you got into your carriage and just drove away, watching your cool departure. Fang Zhang clenched his fists because everyone wanted to apprentice under Liu Ryan. Lots of people liked to compare him to you. Fang Zhang included himself. In terms of looks, you definitely win. As for background, they're all from powerful families in the human world. But your family's firm has branches all over the spirit realm. That alone is impressive. You're way richer than Fang Zhang. As for cultivation, you used to be evenly matched. But now you totally outclass him. The only thing he has over you is that the master really favors him. While you were accepted by Liu Ryan only out of necessity. Fang Zhang pressed his lips together. Most cultivators around him envied and were jealous of him. There had never been someone who made him feel so threatened. This Xinchuan is really annoying. If you had to describe the Shins in one word, it would be rich. Extremely rich. Standing before the glittering gates of the mansion. It all felt so unreal, like a past life. In your last life, you were ruined by Fang Zhang's schemes. And to avoid dragging down the Shin family, you cut off relations yourself. But even then, the family business became a target for many forces, losing more than half its assets. Later, even the floors were only gold-plated, no longer solid gold. Thinking about that fills you with guilt. When the guard saw you, his eyes lit up. "Young master, you're back." You quietly asked if your sister was home. The guard replied, "The young lady went to the imperial city to deliver goods last month. I'll let her know right away." "Don't you," quickly stopped him. "If she finds out I came home early, she'd laugh her head off. By then, she'd definitely force me to inherit all this fortune. That's the last thing I want. I just want to cultivate, seek the Tao, and live freely. Inheriting the business. No, thanks. Just thinking about it is terrifying. It's always someone else's sisters who fight over the inheritance. But in my family, they look for any excuse to give the business away to me."
Handing over as much as possible.
Just then, when you saw thousands of crates of ore in the courtyard, you stopped and wondered what was going on. The guard paused, carefully looked around, made sure no one was watching, then pulled you aside.
It's a gift for the Azure Sky Ancient Sect. For who?
"But isn't the master and young lady against your cultivation?" But when you left in anger, saying if you couldn't become Sword Sovereign Wu King's disciple, you'd rather become a rogue cultivator. He met your eyes, then with survival instinct, said after you went traveling. The master and young lady just couldn't stand watching you suffer. So they negotiated with Azure Sky Ancient Sect. In the end, the Shins agreed from then on to cover all the Azure Sky Ancient Sects, artifact repairs and forging costs, getting Sword Sovereign Wu King to take you on as a disciple. You were stunned, so that's how it was. That's why after the competition, even though Liu Ryan didn't really want to take you, she still did in the end. All that money and the targeting afterwards, all came from your own actions. This is the attitude they're supposed to have once they've been paid. You always wondered in your last life how those broke cultivators in Azure Sky Ancient Sect suddenly got all new artifacts. Turns out they were fighting you with gear made by your family, and still look down on you. You know you're skilled, talented, hardworking, and come with your own resources. So where did they find the face to roll their eyes at you in your past life? Young master, why are you crying? The guard looked at your tears, thought for a while, then understood. These must be tears of gratitude. When you go in, just act like you know nothing. The master and young lady were worried you'd be embarrassed, and especially said not to tell you anything. You're crying out of anger, because you're just too good a stepping stone. Not only are you targeted and humiliated all the time, you're also the one giving money and artifacts away. You really shouldn't let them off so easily. You're fuming. You storm straight in and yell, "Stop! Everyone stop! Don't move anything." Some of the workers looked at the suddenly appearing young man in confusion and said in surprise, "Who is that guy?" Until they saw the steward in charge, respectfully calling you young master, and finally realized, stopping their work immediately, the steward was already over 50 and usually looked sharp and serious. But to you, he smiled with genuine kindness. "Young master, why are you back?" "Uncle Qian, where's my father?" "The master is in the study." You nodded, ready to head for the study. Before leaving, you especially told them those ores to be sent back to where they came from. Do you know what this is used for? "I know, these ores are for the dogs. And they are definitely not to be given to those from the Qingxiao Ancient Sect." The steward was stunned for a moment, but he didn't ask any further. He just gave a slight nod. "Yes, please rest assured." Once you were far away, a servant approached. "Steward Qian, Are we moving these or not? The subtext of this question was whether to listen to the master or to the young master. Steward Kian thought for a moment. Move them back to the treasury. The madam is away. So the young master calls the shots. Is the master's status in this family really that low? It's completely impossible to tell. As for why it's not obvious, there is actually a reason. Shin Chuan is back. The head of the Shin family, Shin Zhenian, was once the empire's most brutal and bloodthirsty, most cold-blooded and ruthless god of slaughter. He spent his life fighting on the battlefield, with illustrious military achievements. His entire body radiated an oppressive aura. This was a man whose mere gaze could make people afraid to look at him directly. Yet, at this moment, he is laughing like a total idiot in front of his son. Take a deep breath and try to keep your tone calm. Dad, those things outside were meant for the Qingshao ancient sect, weren't they? Yes. Shin Zhenian's gaze drifted as he said guiltily. No, it's just, I just made a big deal with a VIP. The heartless sword venerable does not take disciples. But the son was determined to move her with his own efforts. This is knocking on a door that will never open. If the son found out his father was paying for a spot, he would surely be angry. I didn't expect you to say I won. At the Qingshao Ancient Sects tournament, the top performers can choose their own masters. Shin Zhenian was stunned. Then he let out a scream. My money was wasted. But then he thought about it and nodded with immense pride. He gave you a big thumbs up, as expected of my son. You're incredible. That's not the point. You look serious. Dad, I don't want to join the Qingshao Ancient Sect anymore. Shin Zhenian was confused. Are you serious?
He didn't ask why.
He was just making sure you weren't speaking out of temporary anger. Seeing your certain nod, Shin Zhenian breathed a sigh of relief. It's good that you've come to your senses. You're finally willing to come back and inherit this massive family fortune. With you and your sister here, I can finally retire in peace with your mother. You're overthinking it. You ruthlessly crushed Shin Zhenian's retirement dream. I just don't want to go to the Qingshao Ancient Sect, but I still want to cultivate. Shin Zhenian clutched his chest. You unfilial son, how can you do this? Is this how you repay your father's careful upbringing? Confused. Wasn't your upbringing just telling me to take over this burden quickly, so you could go live a carefree life? Shin Zhenian was speechless. If he could do it all over again, he definitely wouldn't have held you as a young child, complaining every day about how there's too much work, and how exhausting it is to be the head of the family. He used to say that when you grew up, you'd take over the burden for him, and then he could be free to roam the world. The result was that of all the hopes he placed on you, because you were influenced from a young age. Regarding the part about inheriting the family business, you didn't remember a single word. All you remembered was roaming the world and living a life of wandering justice. After you gave a general account of the situation at the Qingshao Ancient Sect, Shin Zhenian said angrily, What? They dared to insult you. Not just insult you. They targeted you at every turn and looked down on my son. Not only that, they even looked down on me. What about wanting to take Liu Ryan as your master? You wanted to apprentice under Liu Ryan? Is there something wrong with that? He's just one person. Doesn't he have too many disciples? He can't possibly teach them all. You thought for a moment, maybe there's no room for a third party? Shin Zhenian was horrified. Do you mean what I think you mean? You smiled without saying a word. For a moment, the expression on Shin Zhenian's face was simply indescribable. After a long while, he patted his chest in immense relief. That was close. Very close. You definitely can't jump into that fire pit. By the way, you hit that Fang Zhang and Shang Shenqi. I said, I can handle that myself. Small matter? Shin Zhenian waved his hand. They wouldn't dare fall out with the Shin family. They owe me money. I was originally going to clear their debt after you joined the sect, but now it seems unnecessary. Quite surprised. How much do they owe? Shin Zhenian counted on his fingers, tallying them up one by one. Maintenance and repair of magical artifacts, snack supplies, and discounts at the ore shops. Disciples of the Qingshao Ancient Sect get discounts whenever they buy things at the Shin family's merchant shops. There's so much more. I'll have to go look through the ledgers later. Just then, there was a soft knock at the door. Master, people from the Qingshao ancient sect are here. They say they've come to take stock of the ores. Xinjianian waved his hand. Tell them to get lost. Wait. Xinjianian's eyes darted around. Tell them to wait. I will go and receive them personally in a bit. You tilted your head. What bad idea have you come up with now? They took the money and still dared to give my son an attitude? Don't they know that integrity is everything when doing business with merchants? Xinjianian chuckled wickedly. Come closer. This is what we'll do. We'll make them spit out everything they've taken. After listening, you said sincerely, Dad, you really are a sly old fox. Xinjianian raised an eyebrow. You quickly corrected yourself. Dad, you're really cunning. Xinjianian was speechless. I'll take that as a compliment. At least the cunning in that context carries the same meaning as deception in All's Fair in War. Senior sister, are you in pain? Fang Zhang looked at Shang Shenqi lying on the bed, wiping away tears sorrowfully. After they were wounded by you, their morale was low. They later realized they had stepped into the territory of a demonic beast. They could have escaped. But Fang Zhang suddenly noticed a scarred little beast under a tree. Ignoring Shang Shenqi's cries, he went to save the beast. Shang Shenqi got injured while trying to cover for him. At this moment, Shang Shenqi's face was pale, and her lips were completely colorless. She looked as though she had been severely injured. She should have been resting quietly. But seeing Fang Zhang crying so hard, she forced her eyes open and gave Fang Zhang a smile. Silly, aren't I doing just fine? Why are you crying? Hearing her words, Fang Zhang became even more upset. It's all my fault. If I were stronger, senior sister wouldn't have been hurt. Useless indeed. You call this fine? Xin Chuan destroyed your spirit sword. As a sword cultivator, how could you not be affected by that at all? Sect leader. Lin Qingyu looked at her beloved disciple lying on the bed covered in wounds. Her brow furrowed deeply. Xinqi. Lin Qingyu's tone was hesitant. Did you lose to Xin Chuan? Shang Shenqi's expression froze. His grip on the blanket tightened. Lin Qingyu always treated him as the future heir. He was raised to enjoy the best resources from childhood, cultivating the highest level techniques. She had great expectations for him, and Shang Shenqi was very determined. He was always the top among the younger generation. He was Lin Qingyu's pride, but now he lost. And lost to you, whom they've always looked down on. You haven't even joined any sect yet. You don't have a master. To put it bluntly, you're just a rogue cultivator. He is the senior disciple of Qingshao ancient sect, the sect leader's direct apprentice. He was the top disciple, completely defeated. Even his spiritual tools were destroyed. It's a humiliating disgrace. Master, I failed your teachings. Shang Shenqi lowered his head in shame before the sect leader. You can't blame senior sister Shang. Wu Yong couldn't help but stand up. He tried to defend Shang Shenqi. Xin Chuan attacked by surprise. Shang Shenqi's face froze. As a spiritual cultivator,
He knew all too well how big the gap between them was.
At first he could claim he was ambushed, but later he was the one ambushing. Yet he was easily defeated every time. Shut up, Lin Qingyu said coldly, her face dark. It's not your place to speak here. A chilling aura radiated from Lin Qingyu. Wu Yong was startled. He quickly closed his mouth. Didn't dare say another word. Lin Qingyu looked at Shang Shenqi with icy eyes. Shenqi, speak for yourself. Shang Shenqi lowered his head in silence for a moment, then slowly spoke. Xing Chuan's cultivation surpasses mine. His voice faded. Shang Shenqi spoke with a tremor in his tone. I'm simply not his match. As Shang Shenqi finished speaking, the whole room seemed to be shrouded in invisible silence. Shang Shenqi felt Lin Qingyu's gaze on him, as if her eyes could pierce holes through the back of his head. Lin Qingyu slowly
Said since Zhao Zhang arrived.
You've always taught him patiently. As your teacher, I know you take care of your junior brother. But why you care for your fellow disciples? Don't neglect your own cultivation. Fang Zhang's face changed. Was the sect leader blaming him? Shang Shenqi wanted to speak up, seemed to want to argue, but facing Lin Qinyu's eyes, he swallowed his words. Just from his expression, he clearly disagreed. Lin Qinyu noticed his dissatisfaction. Her tone was unusually warning. Go into seclusion once you recover. It's been too long since your last breakthrough. Zhao Zhang is taught by senior sister. Are you really convinced you can teach better than her? I wouldn't dare. Fang Zhang replied joyfully. Isn't Master in seclusion? Lin Qingyu glanced at Fang Zhang. She just felt something was off, but couldn't pinpoint it. Seeing your sister heard you were in danger, and forcefully came out of seclusion. Liu Ryan had given Fang Zhang plenty of life-saving treasures. But just because one jade pendant broke, he panicked. Really shouldn't have, Fang Zhang exclaimed. Wait, Master's okay, right? Lin Qingyu recalled Liu Ryan, coughing up blood from backlash. And her tone cooled a little. She's fine. Fang Zhang immediately breathed a sigh of relief. That's good. Shang Xinqi. His grip on the blanket gently tightened. The anger in his heart grew and flared. But he didn't know why. He only knew he felt very unconvinced now, let alone that exalted. Almost immortal like Liu Ryan, her overwhelming strength made him feel utterly suppressed and defeated, much less that he lost to you now. His pride took a huge hit. At that moment, someone said you arrived. Lin Qingyu's face turned dark instantly. Won by using sorcery? And dared to show up here. Does he have a death wish? Yes, Lin Qingyu simply refused to believe that you could defeat Shang Xinqi in such a short time.
His carefully taught top disciple.
How could he possibly lose to a rogue cultivator? This was Lin Qingyu's true thought. But instead, he chose not to comfort Shang Xinqi. He decided to pressure him instead. Sent him into seclusion. Since Zhao Zhang arrived, Shang Xinqi truly neglected his cultivation. Actually lost to someone who only knows the dark arts. If word gets out, it'd be a laughingstock. You walked in calmly, facing the gazes of everyone from Qingshao ancient sect. And not long after you entered, another disciple brought your father Xin Jinian in as well. With enthusiastic attitude, are you really planning to renovate Qingshao ancient sect? Many buildings in Qingshao ancient sect are aging. The sect leader had planned to renovate them long ago, but lacked funds, so it got delayed, put off until now. Now things have changed. Xin Jinian is willing to help. Such a major expense. Of course the disciples greeted him with smiles. Xin Jinian replied calmly, It's because my son has long yearned for immortal cultivation. He deeply longs for Qingshao ancient sect. He said after learning how tough life is for the outer disciples. He asked me to come here specially. This is good karma for sure. Once he joins Qingshao ancient sect, I'll be able to look after him. This disciple felt great affection toward his unseen junior brother. Full of goodwill, Xin Jinian thought to himself, Sure enough, no one knows you are his son. Lin Qingyu is afraid of embarrassment and refuses to say anything maybe. She truly looks down on these mortals from her heart, but doesn't mind their money? Xin Jinian sneered inwardly, but remained polite outwardly. I'll trouble you then when the time comes. Oh, you're too polite. By the way, what's that over there? That's the dining hall. Let's renovate it too. Xin Jinian waved with generosity. From now on, I'll give your dining hall 10,000 snacks a month. Let everyone eat well and drink well. For the first time, the disciple found such blunt words sound pleasing to the ear, not annoying or distasteful, but full of happiness. The food at Qingshao ancient sect's dining hall is terrible. Now someone wants to improve it. He couldn't be happier. He readily agreed. This quickly attracted other disciples' attention. They frowned, just about to ask their senior brother why he brought a mortal inside. When they learned what the mortal was here for, everyone showed contempt. But the contempt changed quickly, because Xin Jinian walked to the living quarters. Is this where you live? 10 people to a room? That's way too small. A disciple pretended to be tough. Cultivators should endure hardship to strengthen their Dao heart. Xin Jinian sighed, let's renovate it too. Forget it, just tear it down. I'll build you new ones. How about 1 room per person? That same disciple spoke up again. Real cultivators shouldn't seek comfort. I want one. Me too, thanks new head of the Xin family. You're truly a good person. Renovating the inner sect didn't concern them, but improving their living conditions was something else. At that moment, they swarmed to shut up that impulsive junior brother. Don't let that fool drive away the god of wealth. Xin Jinian was ready to renovate wherever he went. The renovation list was postponed for 3 months. You went to find Fang Zhang for a fight. Well, for a friendly match. Fang Zhang hid behind Lin Qingyu. Although the sect leader told him, you only won by using sorcery. But what if it wasn't just that? So Fang Zhang stared at you with reddened eyes, biting his lip and saying nothing. Bai Cheku couldn't hold himself back. Now, seeing you was like glaring at an enemy. Veins popped on his forehead, his eyes bloodshot, filled with spider webs of blood. Xinchuan, I'll kill you. Even though Fang Zhang knew that Bai Cheku rushing up like this might get herself hurt again, he still didn't stop her. It's a good chance to see your real skills. He just didn't expect Bai Cheku to be so useless. As soon as she charged, you casually slapped her away. Is Xinchuan really that strong? You can't tell at all. But, what if I lose? Fang Zhang bit his lip. Just as he was hesitating, Liu Ryan's voice suddenly entered his mind. Win or lose, I, Liu Ryan, will only ever have one disciple. You. Fang Zhang's body trembled all of a sudden.
He looked up and finally realized.
Liu Ryan, at some point, had already come up beside him. Master Liu Ryan patted his head gently. She spoke simply and directly. Go ahead, don't be afraid. Sword Master. Your voice suddenly rang out. If I beat Fang Zhang, will you still keep your promise and take me as your disciple? Thinking of that broken jade pendant, Liu Ryan's gentle expression instantly turned cold. I don't accept disciples with impure intentions. Is that so? Then let's do this. The life-sized longbow appeared in your hand again. You looked at Fang Zhang. People below started talking all at once. Sword Master already said she won't accept him. Why bother fighting? Just won't give up. So disgusting. Fang Zhang clenched his fists.
He looked at you across from him.
He was about to head down. Liu Ryan suddenly stopped him. She handed him a sword. Take this. Instantly, the crowd fell silent. No one knows how much time passed. Wu Yong was the first to shout. That's the Qinghai sword. This moment was like a drop of water exploding in hot oil, sending waves everywhere. This is Liu Ryan's personal sword. And she's actually giving it to Fang Zhang. What a show of favoritism. Fang Zhang couldn't believe it either. He and Liu Ryan looked at each other. Neither said a word. For a while, it felt like they were the only two left in the world. Until Wu Yong's shout snapped him out of it. Why are you just standing there? Hurry and take it. Only then did Fang Zhang, hands trembling, carefully accept the sword. He didn't dare look at Liu anymore. Ryan bowed her head, her cheeks turning pink. She softly said, Thank you, Master. Wu Yong looked at you provocatively. He said mockingly, Some people can only feel jealous and resentful. You plucked at your bowstring. Surprisingly, you didn't protest. Instead, you asked if Fang Zhang lost later. Would this sword fly over by itself to fight me? Sword Master and Qinghai sword are connected by thoughts. I don't think I could beat Sword Master, if that's how I'm supposed to fight. I might as well admit defeat now. The disciples who'd been jealous fell silent. That actually makes sense. Why is it? Suddenly their Qingshao sect feels so shameless. Even Lin Qingyu lost face, and couldn't help but clear her throat quietly. She whispered a reminder. Junior sister, this isn't really appropriate, Liu Ryan said calmly. Zhao Zhang is only at Spirit Cultivation 9th layer, while Xingchuan is already at Spirit Master 5th layer. Fang Zhang just broke through again. That's amazing. No wonder he's their genius junior brother. Before they had a chance to cheer, they heard the next sentence. You're already at Spirit Master 5th layer. So shocked they couldn't even close their mouths, like being struck by lightning, unable to say a single word. If it were anyone else, they'd never believe it. But Liu Ryan said it. And it can't be some evil magic. Otherwise, Liu Ryan wouldn't have given Fang Zhang the Qinghai sword. She would have just dealt with you. That kind of improvement speed is just as fast as Liu Ryan's master, Jingyu of Qingshao sect. Number. It's even faster than Jingyu. When Jingyu was your age, she was only at Spirit Master 3rd layer. Everyone held it in for a long time. Finally blurted out, You're already a Spirit Master, and still want to challenge junior brother Fang Zhang. So shameless. You rebutted. According to your logic, during the Qingshao sect tournament, if Fang Zhang beat your 5th and 6th layer spirit cultivators, that would be shameless too. Qingshao sect tournament requires at least spirit cultivation 5th layer to participate. At that time, if they face stronger opponents, they could only consider themselves unlucky. But when it's you, suddenly they say it's shameless. Kind of hard to argue with that, and you wouldn't let it go. If Fang Zhang's cultivation was higher than mine right now, you'd probably say, Our Zhaozing is just that amazing. If you're not convinced, try being as strong as him, right? Not only have they said that, they've said it more than once. The Qingshao sect crowd never thought anything of it before. Now hearing you say it, it feels so harsh. Only Liu Ryan, hearing those words. Our Zhaozing unconsciously frowned. Fang Zheng, now holding this symbol of favoritism, was like holding a hot potato. He can't use it, and cannot use it. If he uses it, he'll win unjustly. If he doesn't, he'll definitely lose. Fang Zheng felt really wronged. Why is a 5th layer spirit master picking on him? And a 9th layer spirit cultivator can be so confident about it. Fang Zheng looked at Wu Yong. But even Wu Yong had nothing to say this time. Just kept rolling his eyes at you. You couldn't care less. The one who might have helped, sad words, was sent into seclusion. Bai Cheku was still lying on the ground, not moving. No one knew if she was dead or alive, just as Fang Zheng was completely at a loss. Liu Ryan put her hand on Fang Zheng's shoulder. Immediately, Fang Zheng felt at ease. There's nothing a master can't handle in this world. After comforting Fang Zheng, Liu Ryan turned to look down the steps. Her words to the bow wielder sounded indifferent with a hint of disgust. During your match, I will cut off the connection between Qinghai Sword and myself. But you must keep your level at Spirit Cultivation 9th layer. Even if you suppress your level, your spirit power still recovers like a 5th layer spirit master. That's a huge advantage. But Fang Zheng always likes to win from a disadvantage, fighting above his level. And now with Qinghai Sword in hand, it's hard to say who'll win, now that Sword Master said so. You shrugged and spread your hands. Of course, as a junior, I have no objections. Everyone was furious. How do you even have the nerve to say that? No objections, huh? You've stumped the Sword Master so much she can't even respond. Honestly, you'll do anything just to get a master. Still, you did get Sword Master's attention. But you really aren't reading the room. Can't you see? Sword Master already really dislikes you now. Some disciples sighed, but none dared mock anymore. Haven't you seen the sect leader's gaze getting brighter toward you? Even if Sword Master doesn't take you, the sect leader definitely will, when someone is only slightly better than themselves. They still have the courage to mock, but when the opponent has far surpassed them, even the top prodigy whom they regard as a god, Shanshan Ci has lost to you. Then all they have left is awe and fear. More importantly, you used to be quite polite to the people of the Qingshao ancient sect. But now you're throwing left hooks and right hooks. They're afraid of being hit if they provoke you. Lord Sword Sovereign is so good to junior brother Fang Zheng. She actually gave up on Xingxuan for him. Yeah, if it were me, I wouldn't be able to do it. Junior brother Fang Zheng is indeed good. But he's still a bit behind Xingchen. Hearing the discussions coming from below the steps, Fang Zheng's eyes turned red with humiliation.
He clenched his fist tightly,
his nails digging into his palms. Yet he didn't feel the slightest bit of pain. He couldn't let his master be shamed. He wanted to prove to everyone that his master didn't choose the wrong person. He must defeat you. After stalling for so long, Fang Zheng finally walked down. So many times before, when everyone doubted him, he had overcome the strong as the weak, turning defeat into victory. It would be the same this time. You're not good at close combat. That's obvious from your weapon. He had an absolute advantage in a close quarters fight. Thinking of this, Fang Zheng took a deep breath, cupped his hands and said, "Fellow Daoist Shin, please enlighten me." You nodded slightly. Come on. He just nodded. Fang Zheng pursed his lips, drew the Qinghai sword, and lunged toward you. A blue light flickered on the tip of the sword, as if it were going to envelop the entire world. You squinted and pulled the bowstring. But in an instant, Fang Zheng closed the distance. Fang Zheng had learned his lesson. He knew he couldn't give you a chance to fire an arrow. The previous martial arts field was 100 times larger than this small arena. Back then, he couldn't stop you. But things are different now. In this small arena, he could easily interrupt you before the arrow was shot. He had an absolute advantage in close combat. Sure enough, realizing the arena was too small, and the bow and arrow were ineffective, you simply discarded the sacred flame crimson bow, and drew a whip to engage in a struggle with Fang Zheng. The whip shadows flew everywhere, with a faint crimson glow flickering on the whip's body. The The power of this whip was ridiculously great, just by blocking once. Fang Zhang's hand holding the sword went numb from the shock. If it weren't for the Qinghai sword actively staying close to his hand, to dissipate the force, he would have been blown away already. Fang Zhang suspected that if he weren't holding the Qinghai sword, he would have been whipped away in the very first exchange. The two traded blows back and forth, one with exquisite swordplay, the other with sharp whip techniques. On the surface, they seemed at least evenly matched, but the elders could see clearly. Lin Qingyu said, to be able to fight to this extent, Zhao Zhang is defeated with honor. Junior sister, what do you think? Liu Ryan's brow furrowed slightly, but her face remained as calm as water. Her tone was flat and without ripples. The final moment hasn't arrived yet. It's too early to speak of defeat. Lin Qingyu wanted to say that even if Fang Zhang won, it wouldn't change the fact that he was no match for you. Fang Zhang was pushed to a dead end. Suddenly he remembered what his master told him during training. This move is too extreme. You can't control it with your current cultivation level. Don't use it casually before you break through to Spirit Master. But now he couldn't care about that. He had to win first, before anything else. At that thought, Fang Zhang's movements quickened a few notches. The Qinghai sword in his hand burst with dazzling brilliance. The sword light grew brighter and brighter, until it finally formed a massive sword aura, enveloping the entire space. In the center of the sword aura, a mass of blue lightning was raging. Thunder Sword Heart Sutra. Lin Qingyu suddenly turned to look at the indifferent Liu Ryan. No wonder she was so calm. She had this trump card all along. Fang Zhang roared, and the sword aura slashed toward you. It's coming, it's coming. The male lead's early stage trump card is full of style. You felt the power contained in that sword aura, and then silently put away the whip. The sacred flame Crimson Bow appeared again, but this time it was no longer a life-sized longbow. It was more than half the size smaller. Holding the sacred flame Crimson Bow, you exuded a fanatical and domineering aura. You aimed the bow at the thundercloud above Fang Zhang. When using the Thunder Sword Heart Sutra, one draws upon the surrounding world. Energy and lightning protect the body, so attacking Fang Zhang directly is pointless. But attacking the thundercloud is different. This was a weakness you discovered when fighting Fang Zhang in your previous life. It almost cost Fang Zhang his life. If it weren't for his devotees, desperately rushing in to protect him, shielding him with their bodies, kissing him to transfer spiritual energy, and then spinning in the air while confessing their love, you would have killed him that time. But in the end, it just became an interlude to deepen their feelings. Before the Thunder Sword Heart Sutra is cultivated to the 8th level, attacking the thundercloud will trigger a backlash. You shot an arrow at the thundercloud, and then, regardless of any rules about losing if you leave the arena, you turned and ran. Before Fang Zhang could react, he was hit by the backlashing power of the thundercloud. With a scream, he was sent flying. Seeing this, Xin Zhenyan was furious. This is too much. How dare you use such a dangerous thing to deal with my obedient, gentle, and frail son? The disciples' faces twitched. Frail? Who are you talking about? Wu Yong was about to jump out and criticize, but Xin Zhenyan decisively turned and sized him up. Wu Yong immediately let out a disdainful cold laugh. Look at this outfit. Even the socks you're wearing were provided by my Xin family. And you have the nerve to judge my son? Wu Yong's face turned red. What nonsense are you talking about? The recent spiritual energy of the Qingxiao ancient sect was provided by my family. The spiritual ores used for smithing were donated by my family. Even your clothes were embroidered by my family's seamstresses for 3 months. Otherwise, you bunch of poor cultivators. Where do you think your new clothes and spiritual energy came from? You once again deeply understood a truth. Money isn't everything. But without money, you can't do anything. Liu Ryan looked at this mortal reeking of money, and the disgust in her heart almost overflowed. Both are young masters of great families. Yet no wonder Zhao Zhang was raised to be naive and kind, while you are arrogant, ruthless, and cruel, Liu Ryan said contemptuously. The Qingxiao ancient sect doesn't need your things. Lin Qingyu hesitated to speak. Liu Ryan doesn't manage the household and doesn't know the cost of living. What a spendthrift. Xin Zhenyan stretched out his hand. Fine, since you don't care for it, then give us a refund. Lin Qingyu hurried to say, Master Shen, this is a misunderstanding. My junior sister will accept Zhao Fan. You covered your mouth and coughed twice, adding fuel to the fire with a weak expression. Even though I just lost? You jumped off so fast during the explosion. According to the rules, you did indeed lose, Lin Qingyu said. Your strength is obvious to all. Is that so? So in your eyes, I actually have strength. I thought the Qingshao ancient sect's admission standards were too high. And I hadn't met them yet. Lin Qingyu felt like she was being mocked. If you didn't meet the standards, then who in the Qingshao ancient sect would? Fang Zhang clenched his fists. The sect leader said your strength was obvious, acting as if you were clearly stronger than him. How could he not consider his feelings? Although he was indeed slightly inferior, he had worked so hard. He almost lost his life just now. Fortunately, even if the sect leader didn't care for him, he still had his master. After seeing Fang Zhang's grievance, Liu Ryan immediately said, I won't accept him. I only have one disciple, and that is Xiao Zhang. On the left, you ridicule me. On the right, Liu Ryan undermines me. Lin Qingyu closed her eyes. She took a deep breath. Junior sister, I've said it. Liu Ryan turned her head and saw Lin Qingyu's patience reach its limit. She said, Shut up. Liu Ryan didn't indulge Lin Qingyu either. She grabbed Fang Zhang and vanished, leaving Lin Qingyu to clean up the mess alone. Lin Qingyu said she could accept you as her personal disciple. She promised you wouldn't be mistreated. Xin Zhenyan said, That's a joke. My son is so outstanding. People everywhere compete to recruit him. Why should he get such a bargain? If he wants to apprentice under Liu Ryan, I have to please you guys. He doesn't want to be an apprentice anymore. Who do you think you are? Finally, under the gaze of many disciples, Lin Qingyu endured the heartache. She answered coldly and agreed to return everything. Anything already consumed would be converted into spirit stones. Xin Zhenyan wasn't polite with her either. He immediately reached out his hand. In the end, Lin Qingyu tossed him a storage pouch. Xin Zhenyan counted it right then and there. Only then was he satisfied. There were several mid-tier spiritual artifacts inside. They offset a large part of the debt.